All right, guys, so for our vegetable experiment today, we're gonna be using guacamole. So for this recipe, we got 6 avocados here. We got a white onion. We're gonna be using about a half a cup of that. We got 2 limes here. We may add more. We're just gonna kind of sample it and see how it turns out. And then unfortunately, they didn't have fresh cilantro, so I had to get this paste, but it should all work the same. It's still fresh, it's just a little condensed. And then salt, pepper, that's about it. So our experiment today is going to be, we're gonna make the guacamole, we're gonna save a little bit of it to the side because we're gonna test that without the lime juice. And so essentially what we're testing today is the lime juice acting as a preservative. So we're gonna compare the results to see how long it takes for us to notice the difference in the preservation of the guacamole based on whether it has lime juice or not. So this is gonna take place over a couple of days and we're gonna see how it works. All right, so we're gonna start by cutting up our 6 avocados here. So what I like to do is you get a nice cut in the middle like that, rotate it around, make sure that knife is not pointing towards you because you don't wanna cut yourself. And then all you do is twist that open. These are perfect, nice and ripe. Just kind of chop the seed, pop that bad boy out. And then you're just gonna go ahead, clean a little bit of that seed out. You're just gonna use your spoon here and just scoop that into the bowl. And then once we have all 6 of those avocados in there, I'm gonna get in there with a fork and just mash them up nice and good. All right, so we got all our 6 avocados cut up and spooned into this bowl right here. So now I'm gonna take this fork, they're real nice and mushy already, and we're just gonna go ahead and just start mashing them up. This might take a little while, but we will show you when we are done. All right, so we got our 6 avocados nice and smashed up right there. So next we're gonna move on to cutting up that onion. All right, so when you're cutting an onion, you're gonna wanna take off those ends first, just like so. We're not gonna need a whole lot of this. I think I said a half a cup at the beginning, but we're only gonna need about a quarter of a cup in here. We may add a little bit more just to kind of enhance the flavor. And then what I like to do is just peel off that top layer of skin.
I prefer it skin on.
Well, good for you, Caitlin. And once we got that skin off, you're just gonna go nice small strokes. Since this is guacamole, we don't want real big pieces of that onion. Just like that. And then we're just gonna finely chop it up from the side right here. Just like that. And then I'll clean this off just a little bit, but from there we're just gonna kind of dice these up nice and good. Get them into real small pieces so you don't have any big chunks in that guacamole. All right, so we got our onion cut up here. Got exactly a 1/4 a cup. I'm gonna go ahead and just dump that right in there. Nice and good. And then we're just gonna mix that in pretty good with the guac. And for our next step, we're gonna be adding that fresh cilantro paste. All right, so now we're gonna add that fresh cilantro paste. We're gonna do about a teaspoon. I usually just kind of eyeball it on the cilantro, but for this recipe, we're gonna start with a teaspoon and go from there. All right, put about a teaspoon of that in there. Then we're gonna drop it in our bowl. And then we'll go ahead and mix that in again. And the final thing we're gonna add here is our fresh lime juice and that sprinkle of salt and pepper. All right, so before we add our limes in here, I'm just gonna take a nice scoop of this out and set it to the side in this little bowl. This is gonna be our control group, so this one is not gonna receive the lime juice. The rest of it is gonna receive the lime juice, and we're gonna compare and see how well each of them deal as the days goes on. All right, so now we're gonna add our limes here. We're gonna do about 2 limes worth of juice. Got a nice convenient lime presser here. Just slot that in there, and then you're just gonna squeeze it all into the guac, just like that. All right, so turns out those limes are really good and really juicy. So we put one in, tested it, and we think it's pretty good on lime. So we're just gonna go ahead and add our salt and pepper now. You're just gonna add a little dash. This step is definitely just kind of opinion based, not really a specific measurement. So we're just gonna add a little bit. If it needs more, we'll add a little bit more, and we'll go from there. All right, so this is one day after making the guacamole. This is the one without the lime juice, and this is the one with the lime juice. So far, you can't really tell much of a difference. I tasted both of them, and they taste pretty similar, so we'll see how they're looking tomorrow. All right, it has now been 4 days since I made the guacamole. I didn't film the in-between 2 days just because there wasn't any significant changes, so I decided to just come here at the end and see what the big differences were. So as you can see, there's not a huge color difference, but you can really tell in the flavor that the one without the lime juice, definitely is not as fresh, didn't taste as good, whereas this one really kind of kept that good flavor, and it still tasted like really good, like how it did when we first made it. But since it's been 4 days now, this is going to be the end of the experiment. As we can see, the citrusy lime juice definitely helped preserve it a little bit more, and then therefore proving the experiment right.